triggers for explosive volcanic eruptions now identified, University of Southampton research shows. Scientists from the University of Southampton identified a repeating trigger for the largest explosive volcanic eruptions on Earth. We're talking about super-eruptions. The Las Canadas volcanic caldera on Tenerife in the Canary Islands has generated at least 8 major eruptions during the last 700,000 years. Okay, the Tenerife island, we know that La Palmas is now erupting and they don't know when that's going to stop. So they're studying the super eruption that took place here. The catastrophic events resulted in eruption columns of over 25 kilometers in height and expelled widespread pyroclastic material over 130 kilometers. By comparison, even the smallest of these eruptions expelled over 25 times more material than the 2010 eruption of Iceland in Eyjafjallajökull. Now, by analyzing crystal cumulate nodules, the igneous rock formed by the accumulation of crystals in the magma, discovered in pyroclastic depositions of major eruptions, the scientists found that pre-eruptive mixing within the magma chamber, where older, cooler magma mixed with younger, hotter magma, appears to be the repeating trigger in large-scale eruptions. These nodules trapped and preserved the fine magma beneath the volcano immediately before eruption. Dr. Rex Taylor, senior lecturer in Ocean and Earth Sciences at the University of Southampton, investigated nodules and their trapped magma to see what caused the eruptions. He found that the nodules provided a record of the changes occurring in the magma plumbing right through to the moment the volcano erupted. Dr. Taylor says these nodules are special because they were ripped from the magma chamber before becoming completely solid. They were mushy, like balls of coarse wet sand. Rims of crystals in the nodules grew from a very different magma, indicating a major mixing event occurred immediately before the eruption. Stirring young hot magma into older, cooler magma appears to be a common event before these explosive eruptions, he said. The co-author of the study, Dr. Tom Gernon, lecturer in Ocean and Earth Sciences at the University of Southampton, says the analysis of crystal nodules from the volcano documents the final processes and changes immediately prior to eruption, those triggering the catastrophic eruptions. The very presence of mushy nodules in the pyroclastic deposit suggests that the magma chamber empties itself during the eruption, and the chamber then collapses onto itself, of course, forming the calderas that we usually see in the super volcano areas of the world. There's over 21 super volcanoes in the world. Now, the Las Canadas volcano is an CEI, International Association of Volcanology and Chemistry on Earth Interior. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box. So just my comment in here that this area of the supervolcano eruption, the super eruption that happened 700,000 years ago, as between the time of the Yellowstone super eruption and the Long Valley caldera super eruption. Yellowstone was 630,000 years ago, the last super eruption. Long Valley caldera supervolcano was 760,000 years ago. This area is not included in the supervolcano eruptions of the world. Let's keep that in mind, even though it was a super eruption 700,000 years ago. And we have to keep in mind that super eruptions would erupt for hundreds of years or thousands of years. So you can imagine what the world was like at that time with all these super eruptions happening so close to each other. North America and Europe. So the Las Canadas volcano is a decade volcano. It's identified by the international community as being worthy of particular study in light of their history of large destructive eruptions and proximity to populated area. Dr. Gernon, who is based at the National Oceanography Center at Southampton's waterfront campus with Dr. Taylor, says, Our findings will prove invaluable in future hazard and risk assessment on Tenerife and elsewhere. They're talking about the super-eruption that happened in the Canary Islands 700,000 years ago. He said the scale of the eruptions we describe has the potential to cause devastation on the heavily populated island of Tenerife and major economic repercussions of the wider European economy. So what happens if one of these, well, I don't know, we don't know when there's, so this whole volcanic chain of the Canary Islands 700,000 years ago was a super volcano eruption. That's one more thing we have to keep in mind as what pertains to that region and the volcanology in that region. This is by University of Southampton on phys.org. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support.